think about ROI, sometimes we get a little bit worried about what that means, but in a simplistic form, it's just looking at the profitability of an investment. Maybe it's your 401k, maybe it's an investment into some stock. That's the same thing. You're looking at to be able to say, what's my profitability going to be on the investment that I made? But it goes straight into complicated industrial applications. We just want to be able to know our ROI, whether it's us individually or those that we're working for, to be able to go ahead and justify that.
That's a great analogy of what an ROI is and how we do that. But how do you differentiate between an ROI formulas and the more complex situations like larger scale integrated systems? It's not as simple as head count anymore in the world we live in now.
Well, for me, I think we understand the formulas, okay? We understand that there's the initial investment, and then we can measure it based upon that profitability. We can back it out and say, hey, I just made 20% this year on whatever it might have been that I invested in. And then to be able to go ahead and say, well, what's going to be my payback period? If it was 20%, we know 5 years. As I think about back a few years ago, ROI was always based upon headcount and manpower within being able to determine that. And I can get that. You think about how labor-intensive things were back then, and so we could go ahead and say, all right, to be able to justify this, I need to be able to go ahead and meet maybe 10 people that I had working in my operations. Today it's much more complicated. It comes to total cost of ownership, and not just total cost of ownership, but total value of benefits. And we're going to talk a little bit more about some of those total value of benefits. And so being able to look at where it was in the past versus where it's at today, just a lot of changes with the complications of what we have today.